Hello folks, how are you doing? Welcome to today's episode of the vlog. This is another Touring Scotland, Travel Scotland, Exploring Scotland episode, and it has been recommended by one of my Patreon supporters, Brenda. Big shout out to Brenda here. Every single Sunday for the last over maybe 2 months now, I have been going to a different place every Sunday as recommended by my Patreon supporters. People have been sending in recommendations on places they've seen on TV or based on places that might have been significant for their family heritage or whatever. And this week I was suggested to go by Brenda to see the Water of Leith, right? And I thought this was an excellent opportunity because it's not that far from my home. Actually, I will not be doing a massive road trip today. The Water of Leith is the secret beating heart of Edinburgh. It is the river that runs right through Edinburgh city centre. And I've got a great opportunity with this video today. I'm really glad to get this recommendation from Brenda because it's going to bring back so many memories for me of my childhood and upbringing, right? It is going to be literally a walk through memory lane. Starting here at Harper Rig Reservoir, right here behind me, I'm going to be attempting to take you a walk, literally, through my memory lane from the Water of Leith, this really important Edinburgh River's source to sea, right? Because right here in Harper Rig Reservoir, it is the actual source of the Water of Leith. Technically speaking, it is actually a couple of miles up that way, but we are actually very, very close to the source of the Water of Leith right here. Let's go, let's hit the road, let's go for a wee walk. Welcome to the vlog, everyone. Thanks very much for joining in. And if you're new, don't forget, you need to be a subscriber, and you'll be part of the family. All right? Let's go for a walk. And the Water of Leith journey begins right here. This is the very, very top of Harper Rig Reservoir, which is there behind me, a big body of water, and this is the kind of source of the reservoir, right? This wee burn here, which kind of flows up into the hills, and just up there, there's like kind of grassy moorland that is very boggy, very wet, just a couple of miles up that way, right? And I know this because I've waded up there before, and that is the source, the very beginning of the Water of Leith. And you can see on this side of the bridge, the reservoir opens up out there into a big body of water. There are a couple of significant stopping points here in Harper Rig Reservoir that people might be interested to see. It's just a nice walk for one. You can actually walk from here over the top of the Pentland Hills right the way to the other side to, I believe, Peebles and Pennycook area, if you're so pleased to do so. But I'm not doing that today, I'm following the Water of Leith. But there is another thing right here that is worth pointing out. And you can actually see it right there behind me on this corner. Up there, that is the abandoned, ruined Cairns Castle. Cairns Castle is a 15th century ruin founded by the Crichton family. It sits within private gardens today and is totally overgrown and inaccessible. From up high, you can see the entire Water of Leith River basin, from Harper Rig Reservoir down through Edinburgh and to the Firth of Forth. Do you know what? I still haven't come up with a suitable name for this series yet, but I'm still thinking about it. This is something that's long term, right? We will be thinking about it over the while. Oh, it's a wee bit windier out there than I thought it was going to be today. Right, I can't stay at each location long. I've actually got about 3 or 4 different locations I want to show you guys on the Water of Leith, all the way down from the source here at Harper Rig down to the ocean where the river and the Firth of Forth eventually make it out to the North Sea. So it's not that long a journey, it's not a long river at all, 25 miles or something like that, but I've only got a few short hours to film this, so we need to hit the road. And all the places I'm going to show you today are kind of significant for my upbringing, my childhood, and all the kinds of things I used to do growing up. And that's why this video was really important for me and special for me, because it's the places I've not been for years. And let me tell you, right here at Harper Rig, where I've started this video, as a teenager, I used to come here quite a lot to fish. This is a famous brown trout fishing reservoir. It's been literally about 10 years since I've been here. And just to come back here, thanks to this series, thanks to Brenda, my patron supporter, who suggested I come here, it's just brought back all these memories. And I'm sure the other places I'm going to take you to as well today are going to bring back equally a lot of memories from when I grew up in this, along this river system, right? I can't stress enough. This river system, the Water of Leith, is important for many reasons, right? But I think for me, it's just about memories of growing up in Edinburgh. The house where I spent most of my youth and childhood was about, I don't know, 200 metres from the Water of Leith. Oh wow, guys, this place right here behind me, this bridge, it's not that significant on the water leaf. It's not anything that massive to kind of talk to you about, but it is very important for me personally, because this bridge here, as I say, is like a couple hundred meters from where I grew up, right here behind me on Ford Road in Stenhouse. So if I turn the camera this way, I used to live on this street from the age of about 3 or 4 years old until I was about 13 or 14, down the bottom of there in Stenhouse. So many memories, so many good memories of living and growing up here. And this is the water leaf right here underneath this bridge. You know what, I used to play literally underneath this bridge as a kid, catching fish and splashing around in the water. And although we are in the actual city of Edinburgh now, we are not that far from the source, maybe about halfway or so, but the water is not that polluted here. So I remember as a kid splashing around in this water, especially in the summer on a nice day. We used to get into our shorts and t-shirt and head in there. But the next thing as well that's interesting, especially with this bridge, the bridge hasn't changed in all these years. It's fascinating. But I remember this water, this river was in flood, and a lot of times, and the water was literally inches from the top of this bridge. And there was one day, there's a sports field over there where they play football. They used to play football. I remember the water bursting the bank and going up onto that field, and we were actually evacuated from our house one night. My grandpa had to come to our house and literally rescue us from the floodwater, and it came all the way up to our doorstep before heading back the way again. So good memories. You can just see here behind me, that's a waterfall, and it looks like they're doing something to it. Let's have a wee look and check it out. So as I said to you before, this river floods quite a lot, and there's a lot of people who live right by the river, and like I said, we had to get evacuated when I was a kid. So I think what they're doing there is building some kind of flood protection defence on the bank. Anyway, that was a quick stop here in Stenhouse where I grew up, here in Edinburgh. I'm going to actually take you now to somewhere that's a lot more interesting to see and a lot more beautiful as well, and a place that actually a lot of people visit in Edinburgh should absolutely visit if they're in the city, because it's so pretty. And it's right on the water leaf. Literally no idea what this building here behind me is or was, but I don't think it's in use nowadays. Kind of like a gateway to the actual bridge there, which is right up above me now. If you live here in Edinburgh, you cross this bridge all the time in the car or on buses, right? All the way up there above me. It's really, really high, but when you're up there, you have no idea. It doesn't seem high, right? Because you don't see the drops, because it's got quite high sides on either side, right? You have no idea the river that is down here, and you have no idea about all the houses and all the old buildings that lie down, unless you actually take the road off the main road and down to the Dean village itself. It's absolutely amazing down here. Designed by Thomas Telford, the man of many bridges, who designed all the bridges in the UK, all the big important ones, right up there behind me, in 1832. So a famous Edinburgh monument that stood the test of time and will forever be right here above the water relief at Dean village. Absolutely amazing place to come and check out. So this is me here, literally directly underneath the Dean Bridge right now. Somebody's marked that, but this is literally the bridge designed by Thomas Telford, 1832, a famous Edinburgh landmark. What a fascinating place. I don't know exactly the distance, but it's literally just round the corner from Edinburgh city centre. It's like a haven in Edinburgh city centre. When you're down in this green valley, bright green, look at it behind me. When you're down here with the noise of that river down there, it's so easy to forget where we actually are. Two high-sided walls of this valley, cliff faces, very, very green forested area down here, but we're in the middle of Edinburgh, Edinburgh city centre. As I say, it's very, very difficult to believe and understand that, but it's true. What a great place to come and walk. fascinating. Once you come away from the main road there just behind me and walk along here, it's like we've stepped away from a big modern city, Edinburgh, and we've stepped into some kind of Highland village. It's like we've even stepped back in time. It's absolutely fascinating. Look at this building here behind me. And of course these, like I said, are all now modern, expensive apartments. In fact, this is probably one of the most expensive places in Edinburgh you can actually live. And you can see why, to be honest. It's just such a pretty place, right? I think it's important to remember the river and the significance of this place, because it's not just a pretty spot with lots of nice trees and old buildings, right? It's here for a purpose. The mills that used to operate in this valley would have been an industrial powerhouse part of Edinburgh's economy back in the day, when mills were still a thing, really, which this building right here would have been a part of. The Waterleaf and the mills would have been a really significant employer, right, back in those days, and would have been an important part of the economy here in the city. And all that's pretty much lost now, but what we do have is a very, very pretty spot that we can walk. And also to remember the importance the river has played throughout the years in shaping Edinburgh. But I'm not done yet, right? There's another even more important part of the Waterleaf in terms of the development of Edinburgh, in terms of the economy of Edinburgh, and how this city even came to be. And it's all thanks to the Waterleaf. It's a place where the river actually gets its name from, the Water of Leith. Alright guys, we're coming across the last phase. We are coming across the fourth phase of the Waterleaf on this journey. Very colourful graffiti on the walls here behind me. Some particularly interesting characters along the stretch of the Waterleaf. Quite pretty, some of it though. Especially that. Look at that. The river here has actually become very, very slow. Almost stagnant. There's still a tiny little bit of movement, but just a few hundred metres that way there will be no movement whatsoever. You can see behind me it's almost like a canal here. This is almost the final stretches of this river. We have come all the way from the source and we are now at the mouth where it enters the ocean, almost. And while the river might actually meet its ends right here, it is actually the most significant part of the river in terms of Edinburgh, in terms of how the city developed. So it was important that I came here to show you guys the Waterleaf. This is actually Leith. All the other places on the Waterleaf that I've showed you today I've actually been to and know well, but this particular spot I don't know at all. And with the crossing of this road right here, from one side to the other, we have literally just crossed over from it being a river to literally being dockyards now. This is stagnant, totally stagnant water. There's no flow in this part whatsoever anymore. So I think actually, technically speaking, well, this is not the end of the Waterleaf. Really, it's probably a couple hundred metres more that way. Actually, this is just dockyard now. And the water has stopped flowing, it's stopped being a river now. We're into Docklands, and let me tell you guys, this place is transformed. I used to come down this way a lot when I was younger, when I was a kid, and you know what, it was actually quite a dodgy part of town. You never used to be able to walk around here at night, especially. We're talking 15-20 years ago, but now, like, the whole place has been renovated so much so, all full of fancy apartments all the way around. It's actually pretty nice down here. Wouldn't mind getting an apartment down here one day. I find it fascinating that a lot of the boats that are actually on the shore here, as the river comes out into the docks, are actually now like restaurants and stuff like that. I don't think you can actually sail on any of them. But down here you can definitely get a sense of the history of this place. I mean, it's not a working dock on this section anymore, because bear in mind these docks have been extended out for a very long way that way, which I will take you to in a minute because it's important to see. But this would have been the beating heart of the docks in days gone by, right here in Leith. I mean, look at the neck of this boat here. I don't even know what that's for. just as it says here on this sign, that where we're standing now actually, which is actually pretty far inland nowadays, would have been the heart and soul of the docks, and just a little bit in front would have been the breakwater where the ships would have departed for all around the world. And basically, since Edinburgh existed as a city hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the dockyards here at Leith were a thing, and that is largely thanks to the water at Leith itself. But to give you an idea of how historically important some of the figures that came across this way, Mary Queen of Scots landed here from France. And hundreds of years after that, when Scotland thought it could have its own colony out in Panama, out in Central America, that disastrous trip that actually ended up bankrupting Scotland, a lot of politics involved in that story, I'll not get into it, but that expedition set sail from Leith docks. Not sure what this is, but some kind of battle gun. Meanwhile, soldiers in the world wars left from this port, they used to get whale oil from this port, which essentially was the only fuel that we used to light up the entire city, all of our cities in those days. So these dockyards have so much significance that we probably take for granted nowadays because we don't see the work here, but this would have just been absolutely bouncing. And I know from a news report that I read recently that they actually found foundations not far away from here as they were building a new set of apartments. It's all brand new apartments around here, as you can see all the way around me, and extending out there as well. But when they were building it, they found in the foundations a very, very early wooden dockyard that was way before they even thought they had any activity here. So fascinating to know the history of Leith docks and what it actually meant for Edinburgh. Never in my life been on this bridge, but I've always seen it from the road and being very curious about what it is. But I think it's like a drawbridge, or at least it used to be, because the water of Leith essentially finishes for good at this bridge. At the other side of this bridge is the working part of Leith docks today, as they are today, which I will show you. And this side, up there where we've just come from, is the water of Leith. So we've just done it, the full circuit in a day. The very source of the water of Leith to the mouth, right here in Leith docks in the Firth of Forth. So I'm approaching the very end of this journey along the water of Leith from source to sea. I'm currently final on the main kind of breakwater at the end of Leith docks, which has been turned into luxury apartments, as you would expect. Platinum Point. Right here in front of me is the old original gatehouse of the docks, which is not in service anymore, but there's still a locked gate at the front of the docks here, which means all the water from the water of Leith is actually stuck, trapped inside a closed dockyard. And in fact, directly in front of me, I'm not sure if I'll be able to get a better look, there's one of the most famous ships in the UK that is sat permanently in Leith docks. And in fact, it's now one of the most popular tourist attractions in all of Scotland, and I think it is, correct me if I'm wrong, the single top tourist destination in all of Edinburgh, which is the Queen's Yacht, which is permanently berthed up alongside Ocean Terminal, the shopping mall. I've never actually been on that boat before, but you can tour it. It is an attraction, as I said. I'm not sure how much it costs, but a lot of people seem to rate that very highly. So there we have it, I'm back in the car now. The wind's picking up, but that was Edinburgh. That was the water of Leith, as requested by one of my Patreon followers. I am going to be doing more of these Patreon requested videos, tours of Scotland from time to time. I need the suggestions to come in on Patreon, so if you're a member, make sure you go there and put them in. I mean, I don't know, is this the type of thing you were looking for, thinking of? I mean, it's just literally me out with the camera and going to the places that you guys suggest. You can join in with my Patreon from $1 a month, and as I've said before, all that money goes towards helping me to produce this content on this channel. There are obviously a lot of cool places in Scotland that I've never been to. I've never really done the source to the mouth of the water of Leith today, and it gave me a really awesome walk back through memory lane for sure. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and until the next adventure, I hope you have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is, wherever you are in the world. Take care.